Hey, Joe here from Home Studio Corner talking about the Presonus StudioLive Series 3, specifically DAW mode and how I like to use it. I mentioned at the very beginning of this entire series, if you haven't watched, there's more videos on a playlist down below this video on YouTube. You'll see a link. You can watch all the videos in this series. Lots of cool stuff. But I mentioned I'm not going to show you every single feature because I don't know every single feature. I'm going to show you specifically how I use it in my home studio. And the main reason I use this mixer is not for the DAW control, not for DAW mode. I use it for the mixer portion and the audio interface portion of it for a lot of for the tutorial videos I make, for tracking sessions here at my studio, and then for a lot of the routing that I need to get those things done, and then obviously to give me lots of inputs into my system, which is Studio One. But the DAW mode I don't use a lot. The only real place where I use it is for doing what's called the static mix very early in the mix session. So if you've got this and you're super excited about using DAW mode and getting your hands on it, I completely understand. There's something about having our hands on physical faders, moving things around, that just feels very musical. Certainly not necessary. You can absolutely mix an entire song and get amazing results using just a trackpad or a mouse and a keyboard. But if you have this mixer for other reasons, so for me, for having lots of inputs for tracking sessions, then I encourage you to try it. You might connect with the DAW mode a lot. For me, the main way that I connect with it is on the static mix. Now, when you're mixing a song, a lot of times the temptation is to start pulling up some faders and start throwing plugins everywhere. Throw an 1176 on the kick drum, start throwing a bunch of stuff on the vocals, let's get EQ everywhere, and all those things are good, and you're going to need to use those things. But I would recommend, before you do anything, before putting a single plugin in your system, just sit with the song and only adjust the faders and panning. And give yourself as long as you need to make it sound as good as you can possibly make it sound, just moving the faders and adjusting the panners. Now, if you do that with a mouse or if you do that with a full-on control surface, it doesn't matter, but what you'll find is your mixes will get better if you spend more time doing this and hold off on adding plugins for as long as you can. A lot of times we're adding plugins to fix problems that could actually have been fixed by just getting a better balance of things. Years ago, audio engineers were called balance engineers because our job was to balance the different levels. And so we're going to balance levels, we're going to balance panning, and then later we're going to use tools like EQ and compression to balance the frequencies or to balance the dynamics. But the StudioLive is especially good for that static mix portion. Bring all the faders down and just start pushing things up, and just really getting lost in the song is one of my favorite parts of the entire mixing process. I don't always use the StudioLive for that. Sometimes I just do it with a mouse. But when I don't have to do plugins, don't have to adjust a lot of settings, and I'm just kind of almost eyes closed working on a mix, you can even shut the screen of your computer off when you do this and really find that static mix that works well. The rest of the entire mixing process will be so much more of a joy and even a breeze sometimes because you got the balances right. So even if you don't use it for controlling your plugins, because I don't really use it that way, you can still very much use it as a part of almost playing the mix with your hands as a member of the band rather than just a technical person who is doing corrective work with things like EQ and compression. You're a member of the band, like it or not, and how you play the mix is going to play just as big of a role as how the drummer plays his drum kit or how the singer sang the lines. So I hope this was helpful. Hope this got you excited to mix, and thanks for watching. See you in the next one.